Warm greetings. This is Lieutenant Colonel Guillermo Alberto Poveda Zamora, head of the Space Affairs Office, with a conference entitled Satellites Improve Our Lives. A special thankfulness to the National Commission of Development and Research, Aerospace, CONIDA, for our brother Republic of Peru. The agenda for today has or includes these five topics, five issues. We will see the mission, the policy and the use of images, the benefits of the Earth observation, the challenge and the trends for the region and for the country, and at the end, some simple conclusions. So let's start first with the mission. Obviously, the Colombian Air Force is a leading institution on space issues in our country. It incorporated since July 22nd, 2019, its mission and vision, the domain of air, the space, and cyberspace, which traces the clear objectives with a projection for a future of a short, medium, and long term for the development in the institution. Having this goal clear, we will learn something about the policies of use of images in Colombia. Here we observe quickly some of the most representative institutions in the use of images. There are many more, but only to quote some of them, we have the territorial institutions, the ministries, the geological services, the IDM that monitors the meteorology and changes in our climate, universities, the National Department of Planning, the Institute de Cinco Asi, among others, for the risk management and others. Here, the COMPAS 3683, I quote in general, what are the images used for Earth observation, optical or radar images in Colombia. So we may observe in very quickly those 8 general areas on environmental management, risk management, productive systems, mineral and energy resources, regional and urban planning, health, basic information, defense and security, climate change and the effects in our country, and the territorial organization as cross issues. What images? Optical images, multispectral images, and radar images. But why are they so important to have these three types of images? Basically, due to the different uses that they may have. In this chart, we may observe here in black that the images that have analysis, multispectral analysis, around in the resolutions of 0.5 meter, 0.5 meter, gives us here to the right a heat scale for the multiple applications. So this is how the multispectral analysis and images at that resolution perhaps are the ideal point for the taking of all of the other images. In what areas we can see agriculture, forestry, the use of lands, maritime, insurance, mining, everything concerning energy, petroleum, gas, infrastructure, and also others such as logistics. Which are the benefits of Earth observation? So we observe in a general way. It provides us with a global vision, unique vision of our territory, of our natural resources, of how we plan the future of our territories, how we plan the development, but also how we manage all of that we have in our territory. In other words, it provides us with a vision on what we have and especially on what we are, how we manage our resources and how we manage all of those assets or all of those benefits that we have in our territory. Also, it provides collaboration with not only with the other air forces, with other institutions, uh, external, with other countries, with other space agencies, all around the issue of the space, its research, its access, and its exploitation. It also explains the next generation of scientists and engineers in Colombia. So far, in the last few years, it has grown exponentially. Those programs that are offering a pre-graduate or postgraduate courses in terms of space uh, management, they have grown. The research groups, the seats, or the organizations that research and have as a passion the issue of the space, the study of the space, and providing a high, yes, profit, and as we will observe later. And it also allows the acquisition of new knowledge for the industry, for the universities, and for the development and innovation. Obviously, the space technology is aligned closely to the compliance of the development goals, sustainable goals, the 17 goals or objectives to transform the world of the UN, United Nations, and obviously where all of the nations we have huge responsibility in their compliance. Here we can observe from the 17 objectives, and we will explain how Earth observation may be a positive effect for all of them. Agriculture. With satellite images, you may, among others, have agricultural census that will improve the profits or the productivity. We can also observe the soil productivity, the seasonal productivity for seeding, harvesting, and the yields also of the fields. Any changes due to climate change, priority cultivations, and the insurance for the harvests. As we can observe in this image, we observe an analysis multispectral of some harvests where due to the color scale it will be very simple, very easy to tell the farmers where they should observe any risk, where they should put more fertilizers. And so also we can see here 5 of the objectives, the impacts, direct impacts with this space technology. Also, development process and sustainability, definitely to create formal jobs or for qualified jobs. Also, to locate the concentration of people and how they are displaced, to understand the seriousness of the food insecurity, to verify the use of the soil in the urban areas and rural, for instance, in Colombia, the compliance of the peace agreements concerning the use of land. So these are the 5 objectives that we observe that are impacted in a positive way thanks to the use of the space technology. In cadastral use, the monitoring of the infrastructure, whenever something changes on the surface of the land, it's very easy to detect thanks to the space technology, the planning of the human growth or urban expansion, also to identify who has access to markets, education, recreational areas, and other critical uses of the water, transport, roads, and so on. So to locate, to identify the concentration of people who require those services, of course, the multipurpose cadastral use, and then to facilitate, to identify new assets, new goods from the existing ones. For example, a land, a piece of land where there was a house, but now there is a building, or now there is a company, things like that, for instance. In the environment and the natural resources and climate change, so important. Obviously, it allows us a monitoring of the resources and the natural parks, faster way, uh, for those areas. If there is a proliferation of bad weather, so the radars are an excellent solution. Uh, so disregarding if the image is taken at night or under bad weather, the radar images will always be available, and we can observe, as in the case of this image, the monitoring of, in the case of deforestation, to monitor ocean protected areas, or the Kyoto Accord, the Kyoto agreements, and all of the effects, all the impact on in our countries, or in our economies, by climate change. We also observe at the bottom 5 of the goals that receive a direct impact of the monitoring of the space concerning, yes, the environment and the natural resources. On petroleum and gas, so in a very general way, we have to monitor, obviously, the oil pipelines, the gas pipelines, for possible leaks, possible damages, or we can observe here on the right traces of a petroleum spill in the ocean, yes, oil spill. So this helps in a very important way in the monitoring of the environmental impact, and obviously, as we can observe here in the objective number 9, from the sustainable, yes, yes, in mining, also to have updated geological maps, the monitoring of process and mining extraction, the monitoring of that phenomenon, so harmful for our territories, and those deep scars caused by illegal mining. And there is some affectation, and the management of the municipalities, the water sources, and the different ecosystems, and the way it affects, yes, the flora and the fauna. Here we observe 4 objectives for sustainable development that receive a positive impact with the observation from the space in these important areas, such as, or sectors such as mining. Then on risk management, this is one of the areas, more critical areas, because from the space and with a good analysis, both on from multispectral, we can learn, can identify beforehand, like in this up top image, which could be flooded areas in case of the increase of the rivers, or an increase or overflowing of dams, or possible landslides. And also it helps us to, depending on the case, in this example, to simulate which are the most affected areas due to volcanic eruption. Also, how the areas could be more affected due to a tsunami. So this helps for the prevention and the monitoring of the risk areas, and for the monitoring during the disaster, or the development of the disaster, and finally for the post analysis after the disaster, so as to learn how much humanitarian assistance is required, which are the areas, the total of areas affected, the total of people affected. Here we can observe 4 of the sustainable objectives that are impacted by this. Now we go into some challenges and trends, not only for our country, but for the whole region. The evolution in the region is quick. Yes, the space management has grown a lot in our region, incorporating in most of the countries already its space agencies. Also, the expansion of the air forces in the sense of developing the space capacity. And of course, in Colombia, the same thing has happened. The challenge for the region then starts from a general context where we are finding the following characteristics. Among the LEO, MEO, and GEO orbits, So we are talking about the ultra Earth space around our planet. We find that more than 2,500 satellites are in operation and projected to more than 25,000 by 2030. 40 launchers in operation, and it is anticipated that by 2030 at least 80, there will be 80 launchers. In the space we have an amount of objects besides the satellites which are operating. We also have debris or space waste, debris and other bodies around the planet, and all of this is happening in a hyper connected way. So what does that mean? You believe that we have traffic in space? So here I can show you two images. On the one on the left, an image of long exposure for the Neowise comet, thanks to Daniel Lopez, the photographer Daniel Lopez. But then some white lines were showing, very interesting lines, and those white lines, just like on the right, for those are satellites. So we realize that yes, the space is becoming a very congested area. Now let's talk about the space mining, another challenge. Here I brought a very short example of these asteroids of M type that may have some metals which are, let's say, expensive in the planet because they are difficult to find, such as platinum, gold, iridium, palladium, magnesium, rhodium, osmium, and ruthenium. As they are in more concentration in the space, it is an attraction to exploit those metals. For instance, we have in the asteroids of type C, they contain carbon and diamonds, among other sediments. Professor Neil deGrasse Tyson said that the first billionaire will be the person who will exploit the natural resources of the asteroids. A vast universe of energy and unlimited resources. But he said, I also see close wars due to the access to those resources. And this interesting image, which is a simulation or a projection of how a city will be in Mars after it will be populated by humans. So we are facing some meaningful challenges. For instance, the asteroid Syzygy was discovered on March 17, 1852 by the Capo di Monte Observatory in Naples, Italy, but NASA in 2016 confirmed that this asteroid could be in the most of its concentration comprised by gold. And it was valued in 10 quadrillions of US dollars. And yes, in 2017 it was approved a mission to go to fly to around the satellite of this asteroid, sorry, and to learn more about it. So we hope that by 2022, from with a rocket, the Falcon Heavy rocket, this mission will be launched in order to explore this asteroid that has around an orbit of plus or minus number of days around the sun. Obviously, in the world, the world is growing around space mining, and a clear example, Luxembourg is offering mining titles to explore the space, and we see some companies showing interest in these resources in the space. We observe such as planetary resources that have committed to go to space to exploit those minerals, fine minerals, and to bring them to Earth, which sounds very interesting in the sense that we won't have to continue exploiting our planet or perhaps affecting our ecosystems or affecting some regions in our planet, but that the minerals or this type of mining can be brought from the outer space. Another benefit of the space technology, We're talking about the Earth observation, but there are more. We have communications, we have all of the systems, global navigation, and obviously we have other elements such as the early warning, the maritime surveillance, among others. We also have some fundamental services for our society. Some, as I have mentioned earlier, and we have the Internet of Things, the autonomous vehicles. Now we're talking about of drones, of vehicles such as Tesla that has autonomous capacity to move around the city, and in some cases in Asia that we have observed the space tourism. And as we observe always with the Internet of Things, everything hyper connected. So constellations such as Starlink will disappear, promises to have the planet, the whole planet covered with satellites to allow the connectivity to internet. Here we can see an image of the satellites taken from the Earth. We will have a new model to have access to the space technology, the new space, and the new space we can observe many things. It's not only the states that will have the monopoly of the development of the space technology. The United States is a clear example of that. With the SpaceX, yes, Galactic, Virgin Galactic, Sierra Nevada. These are corporations already developing the space capacity, the Space Dragon, and all of the other capacities. They are very distinctive, and they are private companies that obviously are enriching the technological development of the country, but also of humankind in general. So we observe that this has made that the technological costs are decreasing, the cycles are shorter, the miniaturization has been exploited, and obviously, yes, all of the benefits that involves. A common person could think that there is no benefit on the space technology, but there are so many simple things such as the fact that you are using a navigator to tell you through which road you can save 10 minutes. If we add the total of the timings of the productivity capacity of a country, then we will realize lots of man hours will be saved using the space technology. And there we're only talking about only one application. And then we have many other applications for the home delivery, and we are not mentioning other applications such as for observation, for the review, or productive systems such as the ones we were just mentioned for the agriculture and other things. And which are the opportunities then facing these challenges that we have in front of us, ahead of us? So the development logically of the IGP, the industry, and the universities that will empower the growth of the space issue among the countries. If any of these yes parts would be missing, so we won't be able to reach it. There are many opportunities here. I show you, I quote a case, I can quote a case of let's say the global budgeting that was used in 2018 for space technology, and we can observe that only the segment, the blue segment that you see here, only that blue segment is for the industry of the satellites. Only for the industry of the satellites, the budget was, or the income was of $260.5 billion. But this was in 2018. From 260, we went to 2018 to 271. So here we observe an opportunity for the industry, because this is an industry that is growing strongly because there are more and more satellites, and the satellites that are currently there will have some useful lifetime, and when those satellites will come out of service, their replacement will be required with better technology, with a more updated technology, with better services, and so on. So the opportunity for the industry is evident in that sense. Well, as conclusions, so we may identify several things that we have yes mentioned in this conference. The first one of them is this linkage, undeniable, between space and humans. It is more and more, yes, closer. We as humans depend more and more from the space, and the exploitation of the space technology will improve, yes, the lives of the communities. The countries that have invested in space technology have received big benefits on their use. The just an example, for example, on the issue of agriculture. On agriculture, there is an article on the positive experience that the United Kingdom had with the exploitation of the satellite agricultural observation satellites, and it could be between the 2 to 20% of the GDP only by using space technology in agriculture, improving the production processes, the improving the timings of response, and of course allowing to reach in a very competitive way to the international markets. And we are only talking about one of the points, only agriculture. Also, we know that the development of the industry, the development of the science and technology, the research, the development of issues, space issues, yes, it is a big opportunity for the countries. And finally, I would like to conclude by saying that all of these events around the space issue, they are big, hugely of huge importance in our country, for our countries, for the international cooperation, because the transfer of knowledge, the expansion in the space awareness, situational awareness, and let's say that all of those benefits that lead to that more and more we are talking about the space, that we are talking more and more having more discussions about the space. So that makes our countries not only to be closer, to get closer on issues of space cooperation, but also it makes our countries that every time will be more competitive, that they will be more developed, and so that they may have more benefits for their citizens. And finally, I would like to show you some bibliography. For my presentation, we can see some of the main air forces around the world and in the region, but also we have the space agencies in and most of them from where we got all of the information for the presentation. So this is how we conclude this presentation, this conference. I hope that this conference is help you to interiorize how is that the satellites improve our lives, and how it is that the space technology impact in a positive way from all of the aspects for the countries that have access to them. Thank you so much.